Do you know someone who seems too good to be true? To be precise, we're talking about someone who offers compliments and gifts frequently, but deep down, it always seems that they're doing it because they have an ulterior motive. Well, you may be dealing with a dangerous type of narcissist. We're talking about the generous narcissist. At first, these folks might seem like a dream come true. They're giving you loads of attention and gifts, after all. Maybe they're even taking you out for fun nights or on exotic trips. They might even go beyond and take care of your rent or other needs. Plus, you notice they often pick up the tab, even when you're out with a big group. But guess what? Beneath their charming exterior lurks their dark and manipulative side. And if you're not careful, you may find yourself a victim, eventually feeling drained and exploited. Let's be clear. It's also important to note that not all generous individuals are narcissists. There still are genuinely kind-hearted people who enjoy giving without any ulterior motives. To understand what the generous narcissist is like, let's use an example. Imagine someone says they'll cover your bills, and you know it's no big deal for them, and they tell you that they just want to help you out. If you're tight on money, that kind of gesture is massive and can really change your life. Generosity like that stays with you, right? Especially when it involves the bigger things, like helping with a car down payment, or even covering your mortgage. You'll probably see them as your hero rather than who they really are. But the truth is that it's one of the main goals of the generous narcissist. In a nutshell, their aim is to cloud someone's judgment about them, hoping their victim will practically put them on a pedestal. What the victim doesn't realize is that gifts from narcissists usually have strings attached. The generous narcissist uses their money as a weapon to get admiration, loyalty, or even sexual favors from their target. After all, they know they can quickly earn someone's adoration with money. And they also know that the more generous they are, the faster that person will like them. This is why they'll pull all the stops to keep the gifts coming. But it's not just about the material things. Generous narcissists are also experts at giving compliments and praise, often making their target feel special and desired. But they'll be smart about how they show their generosity. At first, they'll make sure their victim doesn't see them too often. And when they do hang out, they'll go all out, being flashy and generous to make the victim think, "Wow, this person is amazing. They're so giving and fabulous." This tricks the victim into seeing them as generous instead of narcissistic. It's a sneaky form of psychological manipulation that can really mess with the victim's head. By the way, make sure to subscribe if you've learned something new today. You know, a lot of times, the generous narcissist eventually starts feeling entitled. They're aware their victim feels indebted to them, so they expect the victim to be at their beck and call because of their so-called generosity. Plus, you can bet they'll show those classic narcissistic traits like being antagonistic and making their victims feel invalidated, blamed, dominated, minimized, and they'll also be controlling, manipulative, and gaslighting. Things are even more complicated when you're in a relationship with a generous narcissist. Everything starts off great, doesn't it? You're showered with gifts and affection. But what you might not realize is that you're actually being love-bombed, which is a tactic many narcissists use. And once they know they've got you hooked, you'll eventually see the side of them they've been hiding. That's when you'll run into those classic narcissistic traits. The problem lies when you finally see them for what they are. You might feel disloyal, ungrateful, or even guilty if you have any negative feelings towards them, given how generous they've been to you. Such feelings are what trap people in a relationship with a generous narcissist. Many survivors talk about spending years or even lifetimes in narcissistic relationships where money was a big part of things. They often felt trapped due to the narcissist's generosity, blaming themselves and thinking, maybe I'm also to blame here. I could leave because it's become toxic, but I'm confused because they're generous. Perhaps it's because they really love me. And I know others are dealing with partners who aren't generous or even abusive. Maybe I should feel lucky. On the flip side, some people think, I'm accepting their generosity, their money, their support. Maybe putting up with their abuse is just part of the deal. They might also say, hey, I'm living comfortably because of this money, so maybe it's just fair that I put up with what they're doing to me. See how this dynamic can really mess with your mind? The situation gets even trickier because the generous narcissist makes sure everyone knows what they've done for you. They'll hide their narcissistic traits from others, so no one sees their darker side. This is why if you express your unhappiness about the relationship, people might say, "How can you complain about someone so generous?" What's even more troubling is when they insist on how lucky you are and call you ungrateful if you don't seem appreciative. They'll argue you shouldn't criticize someone who supports you, even warning you not to bite the hand that feeds you. The truth is, when people see the narcissist being so generous, it can really cut down on the support you might get from others. They notice all the abundance coming your way from the generous narcissist, so they might wonder why you're complaining at all. Basically, a generous narcissist can create such a positive image of themselves that can leave others in disbelief when you attempt to tell the truth about them. And guess what? Their generosity can disappear just as fast if you don't show enough gratitude. If you're not giving them props, or they feel like you're not ready to return a favor down the line, it might be a problem. You can be subjected to even more of their nasty side because they may take it as a sign that you're challenging them, and narcissists don't like that. After all, they need to be constantly in control of everything. Our point is that interacting with a generous narcissist involves tricky transactions. They often hide their abusive behavior by giving gifts, luxuries, or even just basic necessities. It's best to avoid generous narcissists, but we know that's easier said than done. If you're already caught up in this kind of situation, remember that being around someone who's toxic, antagonistic, and dismissive will impact you. Plus, if you're in these situations, you might feel like a sellout. Seriously, don't see yourself that way. There's no need to beat yourself up more when you're already dealing with the psychological abuse in this relationship. You're the victim in this situation. The sad truth is that the way things are set up in our world can make it tough for anyone to get out of their relationships with a generous narcissist. But having access to support networks like family, friends, and professional help, and really understanding what's going on can really aid you in dealing with the situation. Remember, what you're going through is not your fault. You deserve a healthy and loving relationship, not one filled with manipulation and abuse. In fact, abuse should never play a role in any relationship. Also, know that it is not your responsibility to stay with someone because they have been generous towards you. You deserve love, respect, and kindness in every aspect of your life. Don't let the false facade of a generous narcissist hold you back from experiencing true happiness. And if you liked this video, then check out these related videos to see more. And make sure to like this video to let the algorithm know you'd like to see more videos like these.